Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news, and as Charles Leclerc bins Niki Lauda's legendary 1974 Ferrari in the wall at the Monaco Historic Grand Prix, he's explained exactly how this came to pass, and the fact that his bad luck at Monaco doesn't seem to be going away. Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below, hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, so let's just dive into this. The Monaco kind of historic Grand Prix is going on, all sorts of legendary cars from a number of different eras getting driven around the track, slower than maybe they would have done back in the day, just because it does concern me a degree the safety on some of these cars, so there's obviously far below what we see on today's cars, so they are kind of death traps to be honest, especially around a circuit like Monaco, so they've got to be kind of careful. And well, actually we've seen many drivers there over the weekend. Charles Leclerc, of course, living very locally indeed, decided to hop in for the day, and yeah, his bad luck in Monaco just does not seem to be going away, as we shall see here over the coming seconds. So firstly, it was actually Verstappen spotted, kind of watching what was going on here. There was some memes being made of this, reacting to kind of the fact that, well, Charles Leclerc ends up bidding it in the wall, but you know, Verstappen was spotted here. Of course, that's kind of the European tour coming up next, the Spanish Grand Prix very soon, Monaco right after that in the double header. But yeah, this was the incident itself. Reaching the end of the lap, I believe the brakes failed, and Leclerc, you can see like how kind of distraught he is honestly after the fact. You know, obviously you can't blame him, but he puts it in the wall. This is the clip I'll just share for you guys, kind of recorded from a, well, on board like phone camera or whatever, but it gets the point across. I think the commentators are gassing him up as well and saying, oh, you know, Charles Leclerc is looking good, and then all of a sudden the brakes fail on him, he spins out, and it's in the wall. So here we go.
Oh dear.
And this is funny really from Tom Bellingham, right? You know, you got Verstappen reacting to this whole situation. You know, tough seat for Charles Leclerc, there's no doubt. He does go on to say this on Twitter after the fact, when he thought you already had all the bad luck in the world in Monaco, and he lost the brakes into Rascasse, and you know, with one of the most iconic, historic Ferrari Formula 1 cars. It's just incredible. They put him in the Ferrari, and of course a very legendary one, Niki Lauda's 1974 one, and I think he came fourth in the Drivers' Championship, but still, legendary car, there's no doubt about it. And well, anyway, this is kind of his reaction to the situation, explaining exactly what's happened there, because as he says, lost the brakes. He reckons this wasn't like a driver issue in this instance. It's not like he was pushing it too hard. That's the thing, the drivers aren't going to really push these cars too hard, because there's some serious danger if you do, and also danger of, well, smashing them into the barriers as he did here. The car wasn't ruined or anything. Well, the car was ruined obviously, but it wasn't like a completely totaled, right? But you know, still the rear wing was kind of destroyed. It was well, a difficult sight to look at. This is what he kind of says to explain the situation. I braked, the pedal was hard, and it just went to the floor, right, and nothing happened. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure this version of this kind of Ferrari car was brought in because of the reliability problems with the previous edition, and then apparently this one, even like however many years later, is still having these problems. But as he kind of describes right here, he was recorded saying, I lost the brakes, I braked, the pedal was hard, and it went to the floor. I'm lucky to have it at the moment, because if I'd had it in another place, it was no good. The problem is I got scared. I arrived normally in the corner. And he goes on to talk about the kind of safety side of things as well, because certainly, well, as he says, it's a very special car. Like, he was also driving another, you know, 312T from 1979, to mark the 40th anniversary of the death of Gilles Villeneuve. But as he says, it's very special, but the cars are very different back then, right? As soon as I got into the car, you can really feel that the safety we have now is so incredible, and just, you know, to push so back to those cars with so little safety, you have to be quite mentally strong to actually push them a bit hard. So that's the thing. It's nice and playful. The car was also very cool. The tyres were the same ones they had on the car in the museum. I don't know for how many years. It was like what he says. So kind of interesting stuff. But yeah, Charles Leclerc historically definitely has had a very difficult time. This is kind of the full quote right here. But yeah, I believe he's yet to finish a race in Monaco. The couple of races he had in Formula 2 and since then in Formula 1 as well. He was on pole, I think, in 2019 in Monaco with a great chance to win the entire thing. Then the Ferrari that he had at the time had some engine issues or some gearbox issues or something before the race even began, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't even compete in the race, and I think Carlos Sainz got a podium that weekend. But yeah, it's kind of his described right here, having retired from his first two appearances at the home race in 2018-2019. Leclerc is still yet to register a finish in the Principality. He's also failed to finish both his Monaco appearances races in F2. So really tough scenes for Charles Leclerc so far, of course, in his hometown, effectively. Now, whether this means the bad luck is continuing for him and is not going to go away ever is another question, or whether it's, okay, he used up all his bad luck at Monaco for the year already, and therefore the race coming up in a couple of weeks' time is going to be absolutely fine. We shall see what happens there, of course. The way, the kind of, well, how nimble the Ferrari has been should put it in good stead this upcoming weekend. The top speed probably not so much of a factor, but even then, to be honest, the advantage that Ferrari seemed to have at the start of the year in terms of grip out of corners, acceleration, seems to have gone away a little bit to what Red Bull have pulled off, especially because they're bringing some significant weight upgrades to Barcelona and, of course, Monaco right after that. This is also big news of the day with regards to Aston Martin, because a lot of teams, of course, are bringing some upgrades. Aston Martin, rumoured to be one of the teams that's bringing the most upgrades. Of course, a kind of former Force India Racing Points type team, and now that, well, under Aston Martin. Now, of course, well, you've got Lawrence Stroll that owns the entire thing, Lance Stroll being one of the drivers in the car, and there has always been the question with Sebastian Vettel in the other seat, the four-time world champion, who is the number one driver at Aston Martin. And I think most people would put their money on Vettel kind of finishing above Stroll this season, and, so far, at least the last couple of races, the Aston Martin has actually been okay, at least in terms of tyre degradation. They've had some advantage over some of their competitors, but still the car hasn't been great. Porpoising has certainly been an issue for this chassis as well, but they're bringing what may well look like an entirely new car to this upcoming weekend. They're calling it the AMR 22B, so it's effectively a B-spec version of their current car. Now, they're only going to be able to bring, for some reason, one of these to Barcelona, so only one of their drivers is going to be able to drive it, and the driver that will be driving it, seemingly, is Lance Stroll. Very coincidentally, I suppose, the son of Mr. Lawrence Stroll himself. So a very interesting situation there, the fact that Vettel isn't the one who gets to drive it. Of course, you could well argue that Stroll has a little bit more experience with the car, because, of course, Vettel didn't get to drive the first couple of races, so, like, it could almost give them a good, interesting possibility to compare between the old version driven by Vettel and the new version by Stroll on this weekend, and maybe you can make a compelling case as to why Stroll should be using this car as opposed to Vettel, but still, it maybe does indicate some degree of favoritism, you might well say, within that team, as, of course, it might well be expected, and as they kind of describe right here in the article, I'll leave a link for you guys down below, but they're looking to effectively redesign the car quite significantly. They can't test it on the filming days, as, well, clearly Ferrari and I think Mercedes have done the last few days as well, because they actually did those filming days before the season began. So the first chance they're going to get to test this new spec of the car is going to be in Barcelona first practice. They're looking to reduce drag to increase aerodynamic efficiency and find, hopefully, a definitive solution to the porpoising issue that has also been affecting them. So we'll see if it actually works out for them and whether other teams can kind of take note of what they're planning to do here. But yeah, rather interesting. They're effectively calling it a B spec of the car, and an entirely new name of this version, because it has kind of been described as a semi-new car for this weekend. So whether it looks much different, I suppose we'll see. But probably they're only going to bring one of them, as they kind of describe right here, for many different issues that they are having. Aston Martin will be able to only bring a single specimen of the new specification, which will be entrusted to Lance Stroll, hoping then to provide the same vehicle to Vettel as soon as possible, maybe in Monaco, maybe after that. But of course, it could actually create an interesting opportunity for them to evaluate two cars kind of at the same time, whether one is significantly faster than the other, or kind of what the drivers think about it. But yeah, certainly the idea that Vettel, the four-time world champion in this team, the kind of prized asset in a way of this team, Mike Crack has certainly said, is the kind of head guy over there that, like, they're going to try and keep Vettel around in future seasons if they possibly can. Like, I mean, they're not entrusting the new car to him. So whether there'll be reasons for that over the coming days, or whether there's some kind of Stroll favoritism that you might well expect to be happening, is another question mark. And that's going on as described. So yeah, the AMR 22B is going to be the car that Stroll apparently will be kind of operating this upcoming weekend. Interesting stuff, there's no doubt. Speaking of Aston Martin real quick, just did want to mention this, because Otmar, of course, was formerly of Aston Martin, now ends up on the Alpine team. And I'm kind of describing exactly what went wrong here with kind of when he was part of the organisation. He says it wasn't to do with Lawrence Stroll, but once they brought in Martin Whitmarsh, that's the other Pope that I was talking about, he says. For both of us to sit in the same space and do the same thing just doesn't really work. Because a lot of people are looking at this and thinking, okay, wow, it's kind of sad in a way, the fact that, where Force India several years ago used to be, they had a lot of fans really, because they used to do an awful lot on a very limited budget. They had some great cars, some great results at times, like some legendary, I just remember Adrian Sutil and stuff like this. Then they became Racing Point, they copied the Mercedes, like, they're pretty decent seasons. Now Aston Martin's kind of been on the downhill, right, and they've yet to really get anything going this season, even though the last few races, compared to where they were at the start of the season, right, and, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, is pretty tragic, right, and I'm not sure, Vettel really missed out on too much not competing in those races after testing positive, and it kind of was unwell for a few weeks, but I got over that one. So yeah, just goes to show that the internals of Aston Martin maybe aren't looking so solid right now, especially given that the efficiency that Force India used to display back in the day. So wonder what's really going on there internally. Not the ideal situation at all. And I believe the rumour has it that Aston Martin and Lawrence Stroll kind of want to sell to Audi, because Audi want to get in, they want to buy one team. I think they're leaning towards Sauber right now, Sauber Alfa Romeo as they are at the present time, just because they've obviously been looking good lately, but also maybe that's a more sound and a kind of sensible acquisition than Aston Martin. Who knows? But I think they might be trying to ship Aston Martin off if they can. But that won't really be happening too soon indeed. And just to mention this, on this day in 2016, 6 years ago, that was Verstappen's, well, first ever Grand Prix victory, the youngest ever race winner still in Formula 1. On his debut for Red Bull, well, he wasn't even 19 at the time, so pretty incredible scenes. But yeah, that was 2016, of course, at the Spanish Grand Prix. So we shall see if, well, a similar story shall repeat itself this upcoming weekends as we head to Barcelona in just a few days' time. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.